Welcome to the inaugural episode of Double D's. Let's talk about it, where we'll talk about different sporting events, things going on in the social world, in the political world, family, religion. My name is Damian Deshawn, and this is my
I'm
man
Davian, but you can
Davion.
call me
We tap
D.
in with him. Call you D. Man, well, we're gonna just get into this game, man. We're gonna start right off. The game was interesting. It started off a little boring in the first quarter. It was a little bit of a defensive battle, man. What were some of your overall takes that you got from it first?
I felt like if the 49ers was going to win, McCaffrey had to be the MVP. They were it looked like the 49ers to me were playing like bully ball. They were killing them up front. It was a defensive struggle. And the crazy part about it is like it seemed like the 49ers were bullying them, but they only went into the halftime up three and just left Pat Mahomes too much time to be Pat Mahomes. What was your take on it?
Yeah, that's some of the things I got from it too, man. Um, well, some of the things I got, man, is the first thing I noticed how early in the game, how the 49ers, they just really controlled the A and B gaps, man. I mean, they were able to get some early sacks and the pass rush from the ends from, what's in Chase Young and Bosa were able to have a big effect. But you noticed that they were able to really dominate the A and B gaps between the guards and centers early, which controlled the run game of Pachinko, and it really closed the pocket down on Mahomes a lot early. But I also noticed that the Chiefs, Chris Jones was a madman, and I mean the man only had two tackles the whole game, but you would the way he
But it was
affected that
disruptive.
game playing from the yeah,
Yeah.
he was very disruptive. Uh, what it was a hidden stat, his pressures. He had a lot of quarterback
Mm.
pressures in that game, and he put a lot. He really hurried not McCaffrey. He hurried Purdy a lot in a lot of situations and didn't allow Purdy to get off. I know it was one particular play that would have been a touchdown. I think in the second half where he really disrupted a lot of the
Jennings.
pass attempts. Yeah, to
Yeah.
Jennings, and it really it caught. I mean, really, you look at it. Sneed, what's the other corner's name?
McDuffie.
McDuffie. Yeah, and Chris Jones along with Bolton, they really were the four impact players for the Chiefs on the defensive side of the ball. They really disrupted a lot of things, and they were able to play man to man a lot, and it allowed them not to have to run zone where you saw San
Yeah.
Francisco hit. They used a lot of zone early, and it was not a good thing. And they were making those mistakes late in the game too, where they were running in zone, which allowed Mahomes to really eat them up down the field on that drive.
McDuffie. McDuffie, if you had to give an MVP to both, really it's just hard because McDuffie balled out, Karloftis balled out, and
Yeah.
when they started passing the ball, I think it might have been either when Pacheco fumbled or Patrick Mahomes interception. I think it might
Hmm.
have been the interception. The next three drives, San Francisco came out pass, 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 pass. I don't know
Yeah.
why they stopped running the ball, but they gave the defense life because Karloftis started turning up.
Yeah.
McDuffie was everywhere. McDuffie was everywhere. And their defensive coordinator, that sucker be calling some games during the playoffs.
Yeah.
He be mixing and matching bull. Like their whole game plan was great because you know how the 49ers use a lot of motion. They
Yeah.
do a lot of, they give you a lot of eye
Eye
candy.
candy. Hmm.
And they don't take it like they were, like I was watching this morning, man. They're so disciplined on defense. They're so disciplined. Like McDuffie, you had the deep ball to Debo. McDuffie knocked it
Hmm.
away. One-on-one, man coverage. He almost had an interception, but Debo knocked it away from him.
Hmm.
He disrupted a pass on a blitz.
Hmm.
McDuffie was everywhere from that back end. But ultimately, I don't think if you're a 49ers fan, I don't think you're upset, but you're not. It's one of those that sucker just so good, man. Like the last drive of the fourth quarter.
All right, man. You were talking about just the mistakes that the San Francisco 49ers made. And if I can elaborate on that, man, you was talking about how they pass, and I didn't really think about that until like the fourth quarter on that final drive where San Francisco had the ball. That was the first time that you had seen them really try to insert the run game, the power game, continually. And they had them boys gashed, man. They were gassed. And because you see them, they were laying on the ground, they were fatigued. And I noticed that the announcer had said that I didn't pay attention. Kansas City doesn't sub a lot on defense on their front seven. They don't rotate a lot of players. So them boys was tired, and they had already been down two other defensive tackles. I know one player.
That's why they couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't rotate.
Yeah, they couldn't rotate their depth. I also noticed something though during the game. Did you see? I had never seen someone physically move Trent Williams off the block.
Oh,
the when way he got that put Mike Cannell did. Yeah, I never seen somebody do that to him. I mean, he's one of the stronger offensive linemen, and he just bucked it. And I'm like, who is that guy? And it just goes to tell you how the NFL works. That's just a rotational defensive lineman. He's not a star or nothing, but you can tell he's a freaking hoss, man. That was a big dude.
It was his time to make a play. Like, that's why I was talking about. Like, the moment wasn't big for anybody in red on the Chiefs team.
Yeah,
like anybody in the home jersey, the moment wasn't too big. Like, and if you even look like throughout the first half, the Chiefs defense was doing what it's supposed to do. The offense looked like
they were shitting the bed. We're just gonna say that.
right. And you had Greenlaw. That's a crazy injury. He tore his Achilles. He probably tore his Achilles. Hopefully he didn't, but everyone's talking about it. It looked like it looked
like him having an Achilles injury. Yeah,
running onto the field, and he was their energy. He was their energy on defense when the game first started.
He would have been the guy primarily on Kelsey too, wouldn't he? In coverage.
Yeah.
So
if you look, both the teams started using a lot more motion.
Mm-hmm.
All the Chiefs' motion was causing confusion with the 49ers defense, because they were motion to wherever Travis Kelce was. They would, like, if they motioned away from him, somebody would go to the opposite side of where Travis Kelce was, and it was that backup linebacker. I think it was Orion Burks or something.
Mm-hmm.
But they just didn't look. They looked too confused. But I feel like if you're a 49ers fan, this is a game where you're just like, man, Mahomes is just that guy. You can't give it. Not only did he drive down the field and score, he took every bit of time off the clock in overtime.
He did. I mean, I even took notes of that, man. I noticed that the time of possession of the game was 38 minutes, 31 seconds for San Fran to Casey's 36-26. But one of the things I noticed, if you fall asleep on the game and it don't look like it, Mahomes, outside of that interception, he was a freaking genius. I mean, it was two things that they switched up.
He did was right.
Yeah. He switched up some things Andy Reid did in some of the calling, because Mahomes was 34 for 46. That's 73.9%, man. That's 74% completion percentage to Purdy's 60. I mean, Purdy had one touchdown, but if you look at what Mahomes did, where he killed them was the run game. He had 60. Let me see. I took the notes, 66. Man. It's okay, like 66 yards on 9 carries, 7.3 average.
He led the team in rushing.
And they switched that up in the second half, I believe, between the second quarter into the second half of what they would call like the middle eight. They started using not necessarily zone read, but it was design quarterback runs for Mahomes, and it really caught San Francisco off guard. Because, I mean, he was running with gaps. Bosa was looking to dive and crash, and it was nothing there.
It's like they forget he's literally a quarterback that can do everything.
Yeah.
If you start playing him like all he's gonna be is someone who's gonna sit back there and be a statue quarterback, he's gonna show you he's not. And if you play him like he's not, he's gonna be a statue and just pick you apart. Like, That's why I said, like, everything he did, every decision he made, outside of that interception, and it looked like the ball kind of sailed on him on that one. Outside of that, every single decision he made in that second half and overtime was the perfect decision.
Yeah.
That's why I said, if you're a Niners fan, you're not mad. You're upset that you lost, but you're not burn the world down.
What can you
What can you do? What can you do?
He did. Legends make plays, and we're looking at a living legend now.
We are witnessing greatness, right?
Yeah, we're witnessing great, and I can't be mad at that. I mean, I don't see how anyone can be mad at him. I mean, we can look at the political aspect as far as the whole Taylor Swift and all of that stuff that goes on with the Chiefs, and how Kelsey acts at times. But as far as Mahomes, and you talking about in between them lines, he is the best of the best right now, and he is trending towards being the best that ever done it. I mean, he still has 4 titles to go, technically 5 to surpass. But if he even ties Tom, he's better than Tom.
And this the thing, where Tom was at this stage, because when you talk about Tom, you're talking about the 20+ year career.
Yeah.
You can't compare Mahomes' 6 to Tom's 20.
Yeah.
But if you break them down 6 for 6.
Yeah.
If Mahomes continues to do what he did, because Tom Brady had like 3 Hall of Fame careers in one.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes is not 28. He's not even 29 yet.
I think he may be 29. I believe so.
He's not 30.
No, he's not 30.
If he plays another 8 to 10 years, could he be at, because he's already had a Hall of Fame career right now.
Yeah.
If he retired tomorrow and doesn't play again, he's going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot.
Yeah, 3 Super Bowls. He's been in what, 5 already? Or is it 4?
He's been in 4. He's won 3.
Yeah, it's 4. Okay. And he's won 3 out of 4. The only one he lost was to Tom.
And people forget, if D Ford doesn't jump off sides, his first season, if D Ford doesn't jump off sides in that AFC Championship game, he wins the NFL MVP and would have been what Purdy was this year, the first quarterback to start the first full season to take their team to the Super Bowl.
That's true. It was some things with that Super Bowl against Tampa Bay too that was, he came into that game with his offensive lineman where he had like 2 missing, 2 starters weren't playing in that game, and it really showed.
He had 2 starters missing and 2 backups missing. I think like his whole offensive line was battle. But the crazy thing about it is, and what you're gonna have to start giving real consideration to, the Chiefs defense, the youngest in the NFL.
You're right. They took some lumps while still winning and playing a lot of young cats. And now though they're growing into their positions, and
the youngest in the NFL,
one of the best corners in the league.
You have the youngest defense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes played with the worst group of pass catchers he's had this year. The worst offensive line he's had this year because his tackles gave up a bunch of penalties. Receivers had a lot of drops early on, and he took that team to the Super Bowl and won.
Won it.
They're only going to get better.
Yeah.
They're only going to get better.
He gets one go-to. He gets one number 1 wide receiver to go along with Kelsey. I mean,
and you got to think this year
what he already has.
Who's not going to want to go play with him?
Because you're getting at least to the AFC Championship that's the floor.
At the least. And you got to think. I know we probably do that another time, so we can stay on top, because I was getting ready to flow with wide receivers that will probably want to play with him and will be available.
Oh man, I already know. I know it's one in Tampa. If he don't want the bag, that would play with him.
It's one in Buffalo that just wants to win.
Oh yeah. Him. We got one in Cincy. We could question too.
B Hops in Tennessee.
Yep, you got a lot. But I want to segue to this, man. And this is one of the questions I have up here. Was Cam right? watching the playoffs the way we watched it play out with the Super Bowl, was he right? And in my opinion, he was spot on. What's the difference between a game manager and a game changer? We saw it last night. We saw it last night play out. Purdy, I'm gonna give you some numbers for Purdy. Purdy was 23 of 38. He completed 60% of his passes for 255 and a touchdown. That is a great stat line. But can you remember him making a lot of key plays to make and help his team win the game? No, he operated it within the system. That's the difference between him and Mahomes. Mahomes is able and is at his best when he operates outside of the system, when the play breaks down. He can extend drives, like you said. He can scramble. He can scramble or stand in the pocket. You don't have many quarterbacks that can do that. I mean, the last one I can remember that can really do that and do that on that level was Aaron Rodgers in his prime, because Aaron can move, extend the play, run, and he had the touch, and he could make all the throws. Yep. But looking at Purdy and Mahomes, man, it plays out with what Cam said between the difference between a game-changing quarterback and a game-managing quarterback.
Yeah, I think the same, man. I wouldn't call me and you've had this conversation. To get to the NFL, you have to be the top 1%.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has shown he is head and shoulders, kneecaps and ankles above that 1%. Brock Purdy played well within the system. Like you said, he played well within the system. He managed what he could manage. They put a lot on him, giving him, because like I think you said, how many throws? I think he had 30 or 40 passes.
38 passes.
Almost 40 passes. You had almost 40 attempts, man. And it was too much. You don't remember his wild play.
Exactly.
Patrick Mahomes showed he can be both. It seemed to me, watching the game, the first, if you like I was talking about, the Chiefs' offense looked like they were getting bullied. Patrick Mahomes didn't look like he was shook at all. Patrick Mahomes looked like one of y'all gonna make a play, or I'm gonna make a play. And after going into coming out of the half, the whole second half, he put the ball in his hands. That 4th and 1, that RPO, if you watch, he was running from jump. He wasn't tossing it out to Kelsey or anything. That final touchdown, if you look, Kelsey knew he wasn't getting the ball. If you watch the replay, Kelsey knows all I am is trash. He didn't turn around. Soon, all he did was he put his hands up like this. He scored. If you go and watch it. And it's the same plays they ran last year against Philly.
Yeah.
The same plays. But that's what I was talking about. When the Chiefs were in the second half, when the Chiefs were coming off, doing their motions and stuff, the 49ers defense had so much miscommunication with it. Flip script, the Chiefs communicated perfectly when the 49ers did all their motion and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I think Purdy managed what he was able to do. Mahomes changed the game because he's able to do.
Yeah.
I don't think the game manager thing, I don't think that's a knock either. I don't think it's a knock, because early on in Tom Brady's career, in my opinion, he would be considered a game manager. Peyton Manning was a game changer.
Aaron Rodgers was a game changer.
Aaron Rodgers, a game changer. Tom didn't always have the strongest arm. He wasn't the most athletic. He wasn't this. He wasn't that. He knew, if I don't turn the ball over, you're not scoring on our defense. He knew if I get the ball to here, my kicker can hit that. He never had to overachieve. All he had to do was make sure he didn't underachieve. All he had to do was deliver. Mahomes is coming up above and beyond. Any and everything that you give me, I can put this team on my back and literally drive us down the field. That 3rd and 1 play, put his foot in the ground. You could tell like it seemed that, you know how when you have other quarterbacks who can run and they run themselves into sacks.
Yeah.
Mahomes has done it before, but it just seemed like last night during the crunch time when you need him to change the game.
In the second half, he made the plays
It's
necessary.
something like it's not too big for him. It's not too
Yeah.
big for him, and right now it was too big for Brock Purdy.
I mean,
With
yeah,
that
because you
talent,
go back.
with that talent, you got all pros everywhere.
You go back to the first quarter or even most of the first half, and you could see how it seemed like Kansas City was frustrated because they were making so many errors. I mean, it was 2 turnovers apiece, I believe. I know you had a fumble on the special teams play from the on the punt return, and then you had the fumble by McCaffrey. But the Chiefs had the fumble with Pachenko, and then they had the interception.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of the turnovers, it's like you looked at them and they were really frustrated because they were beaten. They knew they were beating themselves so much in that game. They weren't matching the intensity early on in that game because San Francisco came out and they were jawing, they were lining up, they were eating at the line of scrimmage. I mean, it was nothing the Chiefs could do for that whole entire first half. The first half, man, I'm going to tell you this. In the first quarter, 49ers had 17 plays for 126 yards. Time of possession was 10 minutes, 26 seconds, 7 first downs. You know what the Chiefs had? 7 plays, ran 16 yards, 4 minutes, and 1 first down. And you look at that, and that's where everybody was like, oh, this game is over. But you look at how bad they played majority of that first half, and it was only
a 3-point game.
6 or 3, yeah, or 10, what not, yeah, 3-point game.
It was a 3-point game.
Going into halftime. And that's where you look at, okay, great teams put them away in that situation.
You separate yourself.
Yeah, you separate you. And the Niners never did that. No. And I think that does tie back into the quarterback. One, the quarterback they had, because the defense was playing well enough where they should have been up at least 17 points.
Right.
They made some mistakes there, but it was also some throws that Purdy didn't make. But it was also a lot of things he did do. Like his anticipation on his checkdowns are really good, are high level considering where he was drafted. I'm like, he goes through his progression so fast. And he knows where that check down is real fast. Like the play on the drive with McCaffrey. You saw how quickly he went through the progressions. And then he hit McGrath. Yeah, and then he hit it right to him. And it was so fast. He knew where to go so quick. So I would say that it's not out on Purdy yet. He's still growing because this is officially really his first season because he got hurt late. So it was his first play. You know, he got hurt. Was it in the playoffs last year?
The NFC Championship.
I can't remember. Game. Oh, the NFC Championship game. That's right. Mm-hmm. He got hurt, but I mean, he's just in year 2, and he's already tasted this kind of level of success. So, I mean, I would not rule him out for being now a top 6, top 5 level quarterback. I'm like, I mean, with considering the weapons he got around him, you know, you can make that argument. But if he's maximizing, great comparison I'll say is, you look at Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman made it to the Hall of Fame. People will question it because they'll say he was a game manager because he never really had to go outside of himself a lot and he ain't the only quarterback. But he had to go outside of himself, outside of the offense to show you that he could be a game changer. Unless you go back to the 1991 Super Bowl, if you can remember that. In 1991, he showed he was more of a game changer in that particular Super Bowl. And I believe it was the first one they had against the Bills. I mean, that's just to give you an idea. And I'm not comparing Purdy and Aikman, but I'm saying the situation he's walking into, the Niners are built. All they need is him to play outside of himself in those big games and then during the season, in those big moments. If he plays outside of himself and he shows he can do that, then he'll transcend to a high-level quarterback. Right now, I'd say he's a top 10 quarterback. And that's just my opinion. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league.
For me, man, that's more everybody says like they're top 10. I look at the top 10 is if I'm building my team around
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with this guy. Purdy's more of a, we got this built team.
Mm-hmm.
He can pull the trigger when needed. Type deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mahomes, because I feel like if Mahomes had the 49ers weapons.
Oh, they would have won every Super Bowl he's been in. He'd be on 4 right now, if not 5.
He would have been from the moment he started to now. He probably wouldn't have lost the Super Bowl
with the talent
with
level.
the weapons that he has had, that Purdy has around him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's I guess the best way I can explain it. You know how they talk about? You ever heard the quote, "A rising tide lifts all boats"?
Mm-hmm.
Purdy's a boat. Mahomes is the tide.
Got you.
Mahomes is the tide.
Mm-hmm.
Purdy, and I feel like that now. I feel like nobody should be being compared. Nobody currently playing should be compared to Mahomes. Not Josh Allen, not Lamar, not Joe Burrow. Mahomes is like I said, head, shoulders,
the
kneecap,
standard. He's
above
the standard.
them all.
He's the
above
standard.
them all.
I mean, if you look at, and I'm not segueing into the draft because we can talk about that another time. But if you look at the top quarterback prospect projected, I mean, they're already setting the standard based off of what Mahomes. I mean, Caleb Williams at USC gets the comp as far as on the field and some of his creativity, some of the things he does. If you get a chance to look at him, some of the things he did on the college level could be considered Mahomes-esque, kind of in the way he plays, comparable in his body size and how he looks. Yeah, structure. I mean, he's not, because mentally, I don't think mentally he has it. It's some other things we can talk about, and I'll let you know about it, and we can converse on that. But I want to ask you a question on
some draft talk.
Huh?
I said, I'm sure we're definitely going to talk to some draft talk.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna do that because the combine's coming up. But getting into Kyle Shanahan, I mean, this is 3 times now, man. And I'm starting to ask the question: are you paying for the sins of the father? I'm like, really? I'm like, you got OC in Atlanta, San Francisco, and now San Francisco again. He can't get past the hump, man.
And like, you had at least
leads in each. Yes. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, he's not the only coach. I'm like, a Hall of Fame coach, Marv Levy, head coach of the Bills, all 4 Super Bowls they lost. Bud, I can't remember his last name, but he coached the Vikings back in the 70s. Bud Wilkinson, I think it was his name. When they lost 4 Super Bowls, he was the head coach.
Purple People Eaters.
Yeah. Had all, with Tarkenton and all that talent, and they lost 4. But you're starting to look, okay, Shanahan as a head coach has only lost 2, but he's been involved in 3, and he's lost them all while having the lead in the 4th quarter. I'm like, do you, in your opinion, do you think he's cursed? Because when I say sins of the father, Mike, his dad, had some shady dealings. I know why he was in Washington, because I think that was right around the early time with RG3, before they transitioned to Gruden and some of the other things. Yeah. But I always say, if some of them chickens coming home to roost with the son for what the dad, some of the things there, and then his own dealings. I just find it that I don't understand how you can't get over the hump. I mean, you've had your best 2 teams with San Francisco, clearly the more talented team. San Francisco was the more talented team last night. They were the more talented team the last time they played.
Yep.
The question is it the coaching situation? Because there was some play call questioning. Now, last night, he did do something. He called a timeout because he got tired of watching the defense where they were lining up in the zone. You noticed that with the announcers? Because Wilkes was calling that soft defense. Yeah. And he changed it up. So I noticed there was some maturity, some growth there. It's like, okay, so he did learn a lesson there, and he tried to prevent what happened. Yeah. But it's still the inevitable happened. So I mean, I wonder. It's like I had to ask the question: is that man cursed?
I don't know, man. I don't know if he cursed. I feel like as long as Patrick Mahomes is there and that game, that Super Bowl game, whatever coach is on the other side gonna feel that way. And I mean, the coaching calls that you brought up, like I said early on, literally after the interception of Patrick Mahomes, it's 3 straight possessions, 3 straight passes each possession.
Yeah.
That I didn't understand. I don't know if you've seen this now or not, but the 49ers players are coming out saying they didn't know the new playoff overtime rules, that
Really?
it was never gone over. Kyle Shanahan had he had his little press conference or whatever, and he said that his reasoning behind it didn't make sense. He said he wanted to keep control of the game and maybe his defense was tired, so that's why they took the ball. But I'm giving Mahomes the ball.
Yeah, don't give him the ball.
No matter what, he kick a field goal or he score a touchdown, we get a shot. I'd rather know what I had to get instead of going down there. And like I said, even going into overtime, I want to say they used up maybe 7-8 minutes, the 49ers did, on their drive to get a field goal. Mahomes took all the rest of the time. I think he snapped the last I think the time was like 8 seconds left when he snapped the ball.
Yeah, like 8 seconds left.
Last play of the game. You gave him too much time to be great, and that's what makes him great.
Yeah.
He can be great when you need him to be great or when it calls for him to be great. You need him to put that Superman cape on, he can put it on. But is Kyle Shanahan cursed? It's gonna be talked about like if he ain't cursed, he definitely got a monkey on his back. I wonder if they're gonna if they're gonna keep Wilkes or not.
You know what? I'm gonna say this: Wilkes is a good coach, and to be honest with you, Wilkes should be the coach in Carolina. They should have hired him from the interim position instead of going and doing a retread with Frank Reich when it was already proven that Frank Reich is a horrible coach. He's a horrible coach.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude. But as far as a head coach, I think he's too lenient. That's why I say that's another reason why I said I think the Chiefs can get better to try to stay on top of with them two teams so we don't veer off. Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a job right now. And I read a report before the Super Bowl that he's supposed to be that he's expected to be back with Kansas City. And a lot of the players who played there before talk about how hard of a coach he is because he holds them accountable. All those drops the receivers had this year, don't anticipate it next year if you're going to have a coach that's going to hold them accountable, force them to do the work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Attention to detail, the little things, working on the little things. So I just think I can't say Kyle Shanahan's cursed, but I can say Patrick Mahomes is blessed.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, man, I want to touch on something you just brought up with Bieniemy. He took that Washington job, and I know he took it out of, in my opinion, took it out of desperation for getting a job because it seems like he'd been passed over several times for opportunities. Looking now, I'm thinking it might be the best thing to go back to Kansas City because who's to say he can't transition into Andy Reid's position? I'm like, and that's something I also noticed too. There's creativity with the Chiefs offense in their routes and their route concepts, but a lot of those little quirky. I saw one play last night where they normally do something a little funky, and they went to a split veer formation and ran a sweep with Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
And that was the most creative they did because you remember they did the what was the one they had the Super Bowl, the little spin around. They did the little single wing offense where they ran some old 1940 stuff, man. And I know a lot of that was Bieniemy's his input on that, his creativity. I think the creativity in some of the plays that they ran or formations were gone, but not the creativity in their route concepts.
Right.
Because they ran a lot of their route, like that route they ran last night where they motioned them and then like receiver ran like a zig or like a dig route back out.
It's called a whip route.
A whip route. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm calling the zig, but that's based on talking about a whip
Yeah.
route. Where he ran it, but it was like a motion inside and a quick whip route back out, and it was like you knew it was over from the moment the snap because it caught the linebacker looking inside on that inside release that the receiver that released inside.
And the
But
corner, the corner's eyes went straight to Kelsey. The corner's eyes went straight to Kelsey. That's why I said when you watch that play back, if you watch that play back, when Kelsey comes off the line of scrimmage, Charvarius Ward, who's the corner for 49ers, he's eyeing Kelsey. Kelsey sees he's eyeing him. Kelsey puts his hands up because he already knows McColl's wide.
Sick.
You're paying attention to me. He didn't even look. He didn't even see Patrick Mahomes throw the ball. He never turned around, just like this, facing the goalpost. Ball game.
But did you know? Did you notice that the end of the regulation, they could have beat them boys in the end of the game.
Yeah.
He threw it to Kelsey, but he had Rashee Rice right up on the post. It looked like a slant or a skinny post.
Yeah.
And he was wide open, and they were arguing about it on the.
They argued about it
because the game was over right there.
Yeah, they argued about it. I seen that. The touchback on the Bieniemy thing. I think he took the Washington job because of the talent around the quarterback.
Yeah.
At Washington. But I don't know that I can't say if I would have taken a job or not because I assumed going into the year that Ron Rivera was going to get fired anyways. So I wouldn't have wanted to jump onto a sinking ship.
Yeah.
But if he goes back to Kansas City, what if they do him like the Patriots did Gerard Mayo?
Yeah.
You stay here. You stay here. You stay under Andy. The owner's got a rapport with you, a relationship with you. The GM's got a relationship with you. Andy's older. Andy coached another 5 years. You take over after that. You still got Patrick Mahomes in his prime. Mm-hmm. This defense will still be there in his prime. Spagnuolo most likely going to be there because for some reason he don't get a head coaching job, but he's a hell of a defensive coordinator.
No, he had one and he failed at that one, but he's been. I mean, how many Super Bowls does he have?
I know 3 with the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I think he got one
was
more.
With the Giants.
Yeah, so he got 2.
The Giants
got 5. I think he got at least 4 or 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I think it's 4 to 5. But going into Bieniemy, just talk about the. You notice that the hires, a lot more African American coaches are getting hired because you got. I know Las Vegas. They hired Antonio Pierce.
The Vegas, the Patriots, the Raiders.
The Patriots, Mayo.
The Raiders, the Falcons, and the Patriots.
Yeah, the Falcons. The Falcons brought Raheem. I'm a little questionable about that one.
I'm not.
I don't know. You're not. You think he's gonna be all right? So you think it was more Tampa than him? Okay.
If you look at how it happened. John Gruden got fired. He was an interim.
Mm-hmm.
Then he took over. Josh Freeman was his quarterback. He was a young coach then.
Yeah, that's
true.
He
took over when Dan Quinn got fired in Atlanta. He was the interim head coach.
I forgot about that.
Then, so he's got a rapport with the owner. He's got a rapport with the city. They have talent everywhere. They had a hell of a defense this year, except for quarterback. If he doesn't trade up and get a quarterback and trades and get a player like Justin Fields, he brought Zach Robinson over from the Rams.
Yeah.
From that McVay tree.
Yeah.
Their offensive
play calling is going to be on point.
Play calling should be on point. He's got enough to work with on defense. He's not going to have to use a first-round pick to get Justin Fields if that's the route he goes. In his press conference, he spoke about finding the right quarterback. So if he does end up with Justin Fields, you keep a first-round pick. You can pick up his 5th-year option, franchise tag him. You don't really have to pay him nothing, a crazy amount of money. But you got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
That defense is nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
You still got a talent in Cordero, too, who can do a little bit of everything.
But you got Tyler Algier behind him as well. He's 1,000-yard back. He's 1,000-yard back. Jesse Bates in the secondary, AJ Terrell in the secondary, Grady Jarrett on that defensive front.
Yeah.
You probably have to build them young linebackers up, but they got a decent amount of money, and we'll talk about them more because we could do offseason. We're gonna do some offseason videos as well.
Season breakdowns.
Break down each conference of what they should get, who you think they should get, who I think they should get, whatnot like that. Especially when we start doing these lives.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my last question I have is, how many you think Pat can get?
I think Pat got at least 3 more. I don't know if he catches 7, but at least 3. And the reason why I say that is because you never know with free agency. I mean, I'm looking at their defense outside of Chris Jones and eventually with McDuffie and Sneed.
Sneed's up this year.
Yeah. So he's up this year.
Sneed and Chris Jones this year.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think what they got McDuffie still on a
rookie deal.
A rookie contract. Yeah. So I'm saying that he gonna want money because he's already made a Pro Bowl. He's considered a what? Now you consider him a top 5.
He's an all pro. He was an all pro this year. He was an all pro this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Top 5 corner in the league. So you got that part. And on offense, all you get is Mahomes and Kelsey. As long as you got Mahomes, he'll make everyone else around him. You don't have to have an elite level receiver, just someone that's able to run the routes, catch football. Kelsey, he's getting up there in age. Kelsey is. He's what? He's already in his 30s.
He's 34.
So you're gonna have to find a transitional player, sort of like with Brett Favre when he had all those different receivers, Donald Driver, Antonio Freeman. He's got to find his next tight end or his next elite target.
Go ahead, my bad.
It'll happen. But the reason why I say it is because we still don't know what's going to go on with Joe Burrow. I'm not a big what's the name? Buffalo. I'm not big on
Josh Allen.
Yeah. You still got Lamar. You know what I'm saying? He's still got more quarterbacks that he has to go through. Not saying he won't, but his percentage of being able to just go every year, it ain't like he's not in the same exact situation as Brady was.
Right.
He's good, but the Raiders and the Chargers are a little bit more. I would consider them a little bit more of a opposition than what Brady had to face with a down Miami Dolphins, a down Jets, a down Colts, right? Buffalo, down Bolts. I'm thinking of Colts. I'm thinking of the old division. Moved the Colts. Brady had a cakewalk through his division, and no one always talks about that because he's guaranteed 6 wins a year.
Yeah,
he was guaranteed 6 free wins a year.
He's guaranteed to host a championship game. I mean, a playoff game each year because that's how sorry
he was in the league. Was. Exactly. Even when he went to Tampa.
That's why I said I think Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, the individual is the GOAT. Tom gets called the GOAT for a collective championship thing. Super Bowls is team awards. All the stats he has is longevity awards. Peyton Manning held a lot of them stats. Tom Brady played 5-6 more years after Peyton retired to beat Peyton Manning's records. Patrick Mahomes, since he became a starter, has been the best quarterback in football. He has taken his team. He has taken his team to at least the AFC Championship game, going up against elite quarterback Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Tua with Tyreek. I won't say Tua's an elite quarterback, but his path has been harder. The crazy thing about it is the reason why you have so many you don't usually have a lot of repeat Super Bowl winners is because the teams fall apart. Coaches get signed. Look at Philly. Lost their offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
The Chiefs ain't lost nobody. They haven't lost anybody. this is a good draft coming up for tight ends. You're going to have to find Kelsey's replacement. Kelsey knows he's getting older. Bring somebody along and let Kelsey groom him to replace him eventually. You have the youngest defense. I think some of those guys will want to play with Patrick Mahomes and be willing to take lesser deals. I don't think everyone's going to try to hit the Chiefs across their head because of all the publicity that they're going to get individually.
Yeah.
Like McDuffie, like Snead and Chris Jones, I think, are the two main people that they have to re-sign.
Yeah.
That you have to get
hold that defense together. Chris Jones is priority.
Keep your defense together, right? And Chris Jones was a monster all season.
Yeah.
He's a monster all season.
Pay the man.
Right.
But one thing I'll ask you, and we can kind of close out on this. Okay. What is it that you, and this is outside Kansas City. You mentioned Lamar. And do you think Lamar will get at least one? He's been close a few times. He's been MVP 2 times. You think he can get over that hump? Is it him, or is it still that they haven't gotten him enough? Or it's just bad situations? You know, he's had a receiver for so long.
And I'll give you two parts, and then I'll turn it over to you. We can finish up. Mm-hmm. This year, I think he had the best that he's had. He had the number 1 defense. Mm-hmm. He had the best group of pass catchers he's had. Mm-hmm. I think Mahomes put so much pressure on the opposing quarterback, especially those that up until yesterday they were comparing him to. For him to be elite, I think he just puts too much pressure on him. Josh Allen crumbles. Joe Burrow has been Joe Cool, so Joe Burrow has taken him there. Mm-hmm. Lamar, I think he has the talent to do it, but just like I was saying, how the Chiefs have lost nothing, the Ravens already lost their DC. Patrick Queen's a free agent. Justin Matabuke is a free agent. Their defensive coordinator is going to Seattle. He's going to try to take some of his defensive players with him.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think Lamar has a talent to do it, but I think this was the year that if you were going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, this was the year. Patrick Mahomes had the worst group of pass catchers he had. Mm-hmm. The 2 worst tackles in the game, all the frustration that they had. He had the toughest road. He had to go against Miami. He had to go to Buffalo, then go to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. He's used to having the number 1 seed and having that first week bye.
Yeah.
Nick Wright calls the AFC the Arrowhead Invitational because they know the Chiefs is going to be there. This year, you had to go to Baltimore. And you did it. So I think Lamar has the talent, but they're going to always be known for defense in Baltimore. So whoever the next defensive coordinator is going to probably field a top 10 defense. But the thing is, you had the number 1 this year, couldn't get it done.
Okay, so we'll close out on that, man.
You think he can?
Well, before we close out, then I will say this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not. And it's some little things within the game. It's like you said, the pressure. He even when he's not facing a quarterback the level of Mahomes, he's shown a propensity to make certain mistakes. Yep. That in those moments, there's mistakes in the moment. And I don't want to bash him because I don't hate Lamar Jackson. I'm a fan. I like his game. But I mean, at some point you got to start asking the question, are we in a big kind of situation? Cam Newton kind of situation here. You see what I'm saying? Where he can get you there, but it's some things that are just missing. Yeah. it's some things that he just
With
can't
him,
get you over the hump.
and with him being a 2-time MVP, he's going to be criticized differently than a Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Differently
exactly.
than a Tua. Differently than a Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Differently than a Joe Burrow.
Now, going in comparison, because we can look at the comp with Josh Allen, and I'm the one that don't like that Josh Allen doesn't catch half the heat that Lamar catches, but yet he gets more of the accolades and praise than Lamar does. It makes no sense. This guy has done less than Lamar, but yet gets more praise. He makes more mistakes than Lamar. And I mean, in crucial moments, he's made mistakes. He's also made great plays.
Turnovers this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's up for another discussion when you want to get into a debate about the Lamar and Josh Allen, because to me, there's no comparison. The numbers and the accolades are enough for Lamar to say he's better. Yeah, the individual stats. But when you just look at it in the political sense, I mean, it's some things we can factor into it, but if we just don't want to stay on that mountain or on that hill, and we just look at it in between the lines, why is it Josh Allen doesn't get nearly half the criticism, but gets more praise? We're doing less with more, and it's had more talent over his span than Lamar did, especially a wide receiver.
Our next video, we're going to discuss the season as a whole.
Okay.
But what we can start doing, especially now, it's not going to be no football. We can start knocking out rankings. We can start doing these conversations. We can start doing these conversations and get them, because you're talking about how it bothers you. He doesn't get as much criticism as Lamar. It bothers me that he gets compared to Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think
what have you done to be compared to him?
That's true. That's true. But frustrate Diggs. That's pretty much it.
Conversations we can have. Those are definitely conversations we can have.
Okay, man. Well, this concludes our first show. We thank you for joining us on Double D's Let's Talk About It. We will post this show, and our shows will be typically Mondays and on Fridays. We thank you for joining us. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we out.